mayor of New York City is like a CEO with a $100 billion checkbook. They decide the city's priorities, appoint its leadership, and set the tone for everything from housing to policing. But Eric Adams, he's been complicated. Today, we'll break down the mayor's power, his record, and what's at stake in 2025. Eric Adams. Love him or hate him, he is the face of New York City. But being mayor isn't just about giving speeches or partying with French Montana. Or did he? Or did he? I don't know. But it's about wielding real power. Let's talk about what the mayor can do, what Eric Adams has done, and what New York City actually needs. Think of the mayor as New York City's executive branch. Here's what that means for you. The mayor creates New York City's $100 billion budget. And when I say he creates, I mean he kind of decides what we're going to spend each penny on. Eric Adams decided to boost NYPD's funding by over $1 billion, but cut funding for libraries and education programs. And that's no secret, right? He was former NYPD officer. His biggest supporters and the reason why he probably won the election in the first place was because of the police unions. And I gotta say this every single time, and because of a 7% voter turnout for the mayoral elections. Yeah, that's right. We all hate him. 93% of New York City hates Eric Adams, but only 7% actually voted during the campaign. So, I digress. The city council can tweak the budget, but it starts with the mayor himself. The mayor appoints leadership. The mayor chooses who runs the NYPD, public schools, and housing agencies. These aren't small decisions. These are people who decide whether your rent is affordable, whether your kid's classroom is overcrowded, and whether crime gets handled effectively or not. Looking at you, Daniel Penny. Anyway, here's an example of this in action. So, Eric Adams appointed Keechant Sewell, the first black woman to lead the NYPD. That's a pretty good thing, right? Yeah, historic moment. But under his leadership, the department's budget has skyrocketed while mental health services has remained underfunded. And as we know, as anybody living in New York City knows, crime is largely connected to the mental health crises that we see in the streets every day around here. Number 2, Eric Adams campaigned as a working class Brooklynite from East New York, a man of the people. But his tenure has been polarizing. Adams' big bet? Flooding the streets with police. NYPD funding is at a record high, and crime rates have improved in some areas. Sure, I mean, with all that money you're putting in, it should have some sort of effect. But trust in the police remains low, and critics argue he's ignoring root causes like housing and poverty, and funding a cop city. I think it's like $250 million they're trying to put up for a new police training facility in Astoria, Queens, that the DSA is fighting hard against and others like it. But I digress once more. Rents are at record highs and homelessness is rising. Adams promised affordable housing, but focused instead on developer-friendly rezonings. Oh brother, here's an example of this in action. In Queens, my hometown, a new luxury tower was approved without guarantees for affordable units. Residents protested, but Adams pushed it through, citing economic development. Okay, sure, I'm sure that's what people wanted from you. The mayor's priorities shape everything, if you haven't been able to tell by now. Transit delays, rent prices, even the air you breathe, air pollution, air quality. All of that is subject to Eric Adams' influence. And under Adams, the city's contribution to the MTA have lagged, leaving subway fixes to Albany, who is 3 hours away from the problem. So of course, they have great insight into how to deal with this, right? Anyway, New York City's storm protections are years behind schedule. Flood barriers delayed, green roofs scaled back. And none of this has been addressed by Eric Adams. Remember Hurricane Sandy? Yeah, we need greater protections for situations like this, especially as climate change gets worse. But all in all, this isn't just about Eric Adams himself. It's about what a mayor can do and what New York City actually needs. And in 2025, it's our chance to demand better. The question is, what kind of leadership are we going to be fighting for? Do we want the party animals? Do we want cops? Do we want, I don't even know. Do we want Mayor Bloomberg back? I don't know, I kind of didn't hate him, right? He tried to ban big gulps, that's cool, but I digress. Anyway, the choice is yours, New York City. And please, for the love of God, I hope you actually make a choice this time.